On September 9th, 2022, the 1 millionth organ transplant is performed in the United States. More than half of those transplants have come since the year 2000. The first ever successful organ transplant was performed more than 70 years ago in 1954. At the time, 23-year-old Richard Herrick of Massachusetts had been diagnosed with kidney disease, often a death sentence in those days. There was little hope of a cure. Herrick's doctor, however, informed him that doctors and scientists at Harvard Medical School and the world-famous Brigham Hospital in Boston were devising ways to potentially transplant healthy kidneys into those whose organs had failed, and they were looking for twins to attempt the first operation. The team was led by a young surgeon and professor named Dr. Joseph Murray. 2 days before Christmas 1954, Ronald Herrick donated a kidney to his twin brother, Richard. The surgery took 5.5 hours and was performed by Dr. Murray, who was awarded the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 1990 for his pioneering efforts in transplantation. Tragically, Richard, the recipient of this first transplant, died 8 years later, but from unrelated causes. His brother Ronald lived 56 years after the groundbreaking surgery, dying in 2010 at age 89. This first ever organ transplant ushered in a new era in medicine. Like the Herrick brothers, most early living donors were biological relatives of the recipient. The reason for this was both to reduce the risk of organ rejection and to recognize the special bond between donor and recipient. Later, as treatments improved, transplants between non-relatives became more common. Some people now choose to be living donors without ever meeting their recipient. Although not necessarily routine, organ transplants are now commonplace. In fact, in the US, there were over 42,000 successful transplants just in the year 2022. 25,000 of those were kidney transplants. Most of the more than 1 million transplants performed in US history have been kidneys, followed by livers, hearts, and lungs. Better than 95% of kidney transplant recipients today survive the first year after surgery, and more than 80% are still alive 5 years later. Some have lived more than 50 years, like Charlotte Markle, who received her kidney transplant at the Mayo Clinic back in 1966. Here are other events that happened today in history. In 1776, the Continental Congress formally gives the United States of America its name. In 1893, First Lady Frances Cleveland gives birth to the first child ever born to a sitting U.S. president. In 1943, Allied troops begin landing near the Italian port of Salerno, an area defended by German troops. In 1956, Elvis Presley makes his first groundbreaking appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show. In 1975, the TV series Welcome Back, Kotter debuts on ABC, giving John Travolta his big break. In 1976, Mao Zedong, who led the Chinese Communist Revolution, dies at the age of 82. In 2014, U2 releases the album Songs of Innocence, which is automatically uploaded free to every iTunes account. And now it's time for our Today in History quiz. Who co-wrote the Eagles' 1972 hit song Take It Easy with Glenn Frey? Jackson Browne, Don Henley, Joe Walsh, or Bob Seger? Think you know the answer? Drop your guesses in the comments below. Find out if you're right next time on Today in History. You made it through Today in History. Nice work. Now treat yourself. Click the video on the right for what happened yesterday in history. Still can't get enough? The link on the left's got the whole playlist buffet. Want to make history a daily habit? Click my face in the middle to subscribe.